In section 5.7, we're going to talk about combining functions. On page 337 at the bottom of the page, look at your key concept. Your key concept basically is talking about performing arithmetic operations on functions just as you do on numbers or algebraic expressions. You can add, subtract, multiply, or divide two functions. So they're going to give you the title of two functions, for example, like f of x and g of x. You either add them, subtract them, multiply, or divide. It literally is kind of adding and subtracting, multiplying, dividing like terms. It's a review of what you've done pretty much in 6th and 7th grade, but now we're doing it with functions. So at the top of the page, in the blank area under the solve it, I want you to write this down. 3x plus 5x. Now looking at 3x plus 5x, piece of cake. You all know that's 8x. But now we're going to change it to something like this. 3 times 2 to the x plus 4 times 2 to the x. You are going to treat this the same entity as what you did with the 3x plus 5x. This is kind of like your variable. This is kind of like your coefficient. So 3 times 2 to the x plus 4 times 2 to the x is going to be 7 times 2 to the x. Just like over here when we took 3x plus 5x, you have 8x's. Here you have 3 times 2 to the x, 4 times 2 to the x, that gives you 7 times 2 to the x. So problem 1, the got it. We have two different expressions. We have 5 to the x minus 4 is f of x, and we have g of x equals 3x plus 8. All we do, right here, it says to add them together. Literally, all you're going to do is take 5 to the x minus 4 plus 3x plus 8. All we do is combine like terms. Well, if you combine like terms, 5 to the x, well, there's nothing you can do, so it's just 5 to the x. Plus 3x, there's nothing I can do. And then I take 8 minus 4. 8 minus 4 is plus 4. There's your answer. That's as easy as it is. You add like terms. Now, the next part says f plus g, but when x is 3. So you take the 3 and you plug it in for x. So we plug in a 3 here and here. That would be 5 to the third plus 3 times 3 plus 4. 5 to the third power is 125 plus 9 plus 4. 125 plus 9 is 134 plus 4 is 138. You're done. That is all you do. 1a and b. In the practice section on page 338, we have to find the sum or difference of the two functions listed for f of x and g of x. A, it says to add them together. So f plus g of x, we're just going to add them together. 3 times 8 to the x plus 2 times 8 to the x plus 1. All I do is add these. 3 plus 2 would be 5 times 8 to the x plus 1 comes down. There's my answer. Adding them together, you would get 5 times 8 to the x plus 1. B is now plugging in 2. So we plug in 2. 5 times 8 to the second power plus 1. 5 times 64. 8 squared is 64 plus 1. 5 times 64 is 320. 320 plus 1 is 321. You're done. Number 2. Same thing, but now we're going to subtract. Here's the only difference, and this is the only thing that makes it a little hard. I mean, it's really not, but it's the only thing that can trick people up. When you're subtracting them, we are subtracting f of g, which is 3 times x to the 8 to the x, minus all of g of x. So you have to have parentheses around what you're subtracting. 2 times 8 to the x plus 1. Distribute the negative. That gives you 3 times 8 to the x minus 2 times 8 to the x minus 1. 3 times 8 to the x minus 2 times 8 to the x is just 1 times 8 to the x, which is just 8 to the x, minus 1. There's your answer. Part B says to plug in 3. So we do 8 to the third power minus 1. 8 to the third power is 512 minus 1 is 511. So in problem number 2, we have two functions, f of x and g of x, and now we have to multiply it. So all we do is multiply them together. It doesn't matter which one goes first because multiplying, it doesn't matter the order. So since f of x is a monomial, and g of x is a monomial, and f of x is a binomial, I'm just going to do that. All you're doing is distributing the 4x into the 8x plus 15. So distribute. 4x times 8x is 32x squared. Remember, you know your rule now. Multiply the same base, you add the exponents. 4x times 15 gives you 60x. That's the first part. The second part says plug in negative 5. So we plug in negative 5. Negative 5 squared would be positive 25. 32 times 25 plus 60 times negative 5. Your answer would be 500. On page 339, practice A on problem 3A, it says to multiply our two functions together. So we have a function 144x minus 48, and we have to multiply that by g of x, which is 12. So distribute the 12, and we get 12 times 144, which is 1,728x, minus 576. There's part A. Part B is plugging in negative 5. 1,728 times negative 5 minus 576 gives you the value of negative 9,216. So we know that f times g of negative 5 gives us negative 9,216. 4 is dividing. So we have to divide f divided by g. So f of x which is 144x minus 48 divided by 12. All we do is take 144 divided by 12, so that'd be 12x. 48 divided by 12 is 4. So we know f divided by g of x is 12x minus 4. We now plug in f divided by g of 3. So we plug in 3. That gives us 36 minus 4. So our value would be 32 when we plug in 3. On page 340, we have our last section, which is using functions in real life. So problem 3 under the got it says this for biology. Scientists conducted a study of the sparrow populations in 2 cities. The results of the study projected that the population in city C in X years will be modeled by C of X equals 950 times 1.29 to the X power minus 120X. And the population in city D in X years will be modeled by D of X equals 500X minus 600. What is a function giving the difference in population of sparrows between city C and city D? Then predict what the difference in population will be in 6 years. All right, so in problem 3, you have to find what is the function giving the difference in population of sparrows between city C and city D. So if it says find the difference, you're going to have to subtract. So we have to subtract city C and city D. So we're going to subtract 950 times 1.29 to the X power minus 120x. Then we have to subtract the second function, which is in parentheses 500x minus 600. We now have to distribute the subtraction sign to both sides. If we distribute the subtraction on both sides, we are going to get minus 500x plus 600. So bring everything else down. And now we just combine like terms. Here, there's nothing you can do. 950 times 1.29 to the x power. I can combine negative 120 and negative 500. That gives me minus 620x plus 600. So subtracting them, which would be c, it'd be c minus d of x would be that entire expression. And the last part is to predict what the difference in population will be in 6 years. So in 6 years, we plug in 6. So that would give us 950 times 1.29 to the 6th power, which was x, minus 620 times 6 plus 600. If you simplify that entire expression, you would get that the difference in population would be approximately or about 1,258. And so that would be your answer.